Hello Pokemon trainers! Welcome back to another Pokemon TCG Pocket video here on iStarly TV. Today I'm featuring a new deck. I mean, it's not exactly a new deck, it's not like something I thought of myself, but it's a deck that is new to my channel, I guess you could say. And I played this deck a lot in the most recent Emblem event, and I actually got a lot of wins with it. It's actually a pretty strong deck, but it is extremely volatile, which means you're going to have really powerful games, really broken games, and you're going to have games where you basically don't do anything. Where you don't do anything. So this is Articuno EX. This is Articuno 18 trainers. So the theory with this deck, again, I know this deck has existed since Genetic Apex, but I have updated it with Mystical Island cards. The theory or the thought process with this deck is you play only 2 Pokemon in your deck. That is 2 copies of Articuno EX, and that is it. Everything else in the deck, all 18 other cards, are trainers. And so, again, you're just playing these 2 Pokemon. The hope and the goal is to have Misty in your opening hand. So, of course, we're playing 2 copies of Misty, and you really want to see Articuno. You're going to see Articuno in your opening hand because the way that this game works, you're guaranteed to always draw a basic Pokemon, at least one basic in your opening hand. So you're always going to have at least one Articuno in your opening hand, no matter what. But then from there, you're hoping to see the Misty. And if you roll nicely with the Misty, you can win the game on turn 1. You can literally end the game on turn 1 with this deck. Of course, it is also possible that you never see Misty, or that you play Misty and you immediately get heads. You immediately get tails, which means the Misty was wasted. So it's a very, like I said, very volatile deck, but I've had a lot of success with it. And people, when they're kind of trying to set up all their strong Pokemon, it takes them several turns. Sometimes you can just completely shut them down. So the 18 trainers that we're playing, I mean, in all honesty, I was running out of, this is almost all of the cards that you could possibly play. There's a couple other numbers you could consider, but we'll talk about it. We're playing 2 Potion, 2 Red Card. This is the weird number here. We're playing 2 Helix Fossil and 1 Old Amber. I could probably do with just 2 fossils total, so I could probably cut one of these fossils, but the fossils are nice as like anti-Sabrina tech, but also there are situations where maybe you need to switch out your Articuno to buy it some time or something, or you're like hoping to draw a potion or something, and the fossils can kind of help you stall in that regard. And if you have like an Articuno in play and an Articuno on your bench, having a fossil in play as well will make you Sabrina proof. So if you have like an Articuno on your bench and it has like low HP and your opponent uses Sabrina, you can just go into the fossil. So that's why I like the fossils, although like I said, I don't think we need that many. Double Professor's Research, unsurprising, double Sabrina, double Blue, double Misty, double Giovanni, and then 1 copy of Leaf. So if I'm going to cut one of the fossils, I could see us adding like a single copy of Pokeball. Obviously, there's only one other Pokemon that we can grab with Pokeball, so if we ever draw Pokeball late game, when we already have both Articunos, then the Pokeball does nothing. So that's why we would only ever want 1 Pokeball and not 2. But aside from that, I mean, the game plan, like I said, is you're crossing your fingers for that Misty. Even if you don't find Misty, you know, you can start attacking for 40 damage on turn 2, potentially. And then once you get to that 80 damage is a lot, and Articuno has a high HP stat. Again, we're playing double Potion and double Blue as ways of like reducing the damage that our Articuno takes. So the opponent is likely going to take a long time setting up their main strategy. And in that time, we can build up our Articuno even if we don't find Misty, and just kind of like take over the game with it. And like I said, if we ever do find Misty, you know, the game could very well end on the spot. So yeah, this is a fun deck. Like I said, it's not anything new, but I've updated it with some of the Mystical Island cards, and I mean, I enjoy this deck a lot. So it's kind of like an aggro deck, like an aggressive deck, where a lot of the games end pretty early, and that's either because your opponent concedes quickly or because you kill their Pokemon extremely quickly. So yeah, it's a fun one. Let's get to some games. So here's our first game. This person loves Mew. I absolutely respect that because I love Mew as well. We both have the same icon. That's great because Mew is iconic. We're going second, which I think is typically a good thing, and we do have the Misty combo in our hand. Not exactly a combo, but, you know, we have Articuno and Misty, which is pretty much what we're hoping for in this deck. You can get turn 1 wins with if you have Misty in your opening hand. Of course, the keyword there is can. You can get turn 1 wins. It's not always going to happen. We're not always going to draw Misty, but of course, more importantly, even if we do draw Misty, you're not always going to get lucky with it, right? So that's important to keep in mind. So my opponent's going to go first here. Aside from the Misties, we have 2 chances at Misty, which is pretty nice. And then I have a Fossil, which we can play, which makes us... You know, I say that it makes us Sabrina-proof, but if we have nothing on the bench, they can't Sabrina us anyway. But anyway, of course, what we're going to do here is just fire off the Misty. No pun intended. And we miss. Pretty awkward, but once again, we get another chance next turn. My question is whether I play the Helix Fossil or not. I don't really see a need to. One scary play... Well, luckily for me, my opponent... This is their first turn putting an energy on their Pokemon, so I was going to say, even if they evolve into Galvantula here, they cannot attack me. Had they been able to attack me here, that would be really scary, because that would do 90 damage to me. So that is something we don't want to see. And my opponent puts it on the Galvantula, which I think could be a mistake. If they set up their Pikachu, that's even scarier for me, because if I knock out Galvantula, they just get to go right into Pikachu. We draw another Fossil, which again, I'm not so sure we need to play. We're just going to fire off, no pun intended, the second Misty. And we miss again. Okay, that is rough. But hey, that's what happens with this deck. If you're going to play this deck, you're going to have to be prepared for situations like that. I mean, I could play the Fossils. I don't really know if it changes anything. I'm just going to go ahead and play a Fossil there. Again, I don't think it really changes much. I guess something that it does do is if we draw Leaf, we can retreat into the Fossil if we need to, just to kind of bide some time with Articuno. But at the moment, we're going to get the natural 3 energies for Blizzard. We failed both Misties, which is funny. I'm sure my opponent's laughing in our face about that. But like I said, if you're playing Misty, you're going to have volatile games. You're going to have games where you flip 6 coins on it, or flip 6 heads, and then you're going to have games where you get that tails right away. So that's kind of the nature of this deck. It's very all-in. And interestingly, my opponent actually puts an energy on Pikachu, which I do think is the correct move, but it means that they possibly wasted that energy on their Galvantula last turn. There's blue. I don't think we need to cast blue or play blue. We also don't really need to play Giovanni. Really, all of our supporters kind of don't do anything at the moment. If we go Sabrina, we just get more damage. Oh, okay. Okay. Maybe they were just annoyed that we were taking long, but I mean, hey, we were using our time. We were going to do something. But looking at that hand, yeah, our supporters, they didn't really do that much. I guess we could have gone Sabrina, that forced them into one of their EXs, and then that's a 2-hit KO on any of their EXs that we hit. So that could be pretty valuable, honestly. Possibly more valuable than just straight up killing the Galvantula, but either way, game 1 we get the W, even though I don't feel like we earned it. Let's go to game 2. Chimichangax. Chimichanga X, I guess? Apparently they're a beginner, which somehow I doubt, but we'll find out. That rhymed. There's our Articuno, and kind of a rough start, mainly because we won the coin flip. So, unless we draw Misty. Winning the coin flip with this deck is actually really good if you have that Misty in the opening hand, but we don't. So maybe we'll draw it here. Unfortunately, we are not able to place an energy this turn. Of course, we have maybe the next best thing. We have Research, which means we get to draw 2 and hopefully find that Misty, which we do not. I guess I'll just play the Fossil and pass. We really, really need to see that Misty. And that's another situation here where it shows, like, you know, our deck is very all in. If you don't have Misty or you don't win the coin flips on Misty, it can be really rough. But we'll see how we can hang. Even in that last game, going back to that last game, my opponent's just kind of setting up here. Going back to that last game, you know, we lost 2 Misty flips, I mean, technically you could say we lost 2 Misty Flips and we still won the game, but I mean, my opponent conceded. But even though we lost those 2 Misty Flips, we were still very much in that game. Like, we had decisions to make, and we had the decision of whether to straight up kill the Galvantula or force them into one of their EXs to do massive damage, which is pretty impactful. So, and they were far away from killing my Articuno, so we were still very much in that game. Yeah, so they're, again, completely setting up. I don't know if they're debating whether to Ember here, which I don't think is a good idea. It only does 30 damage to us, and if we ever draw like a potion, we mostly undo that. And it discards their only energy. I guess, I mean, obviously what they really need here is that Moltres EX. They play a second Charmander, sure. That's the awkward thing about this Charmander card is you really need energy. You need a lot of energies on it for Charizard. But it works against that because this attack requires you to discard. Yeah, they're actually going to attack me, which I'm not sure is the right call because they lose that 1 energy. I guess one way in which that is the right call for them is in the fact that we are very slowly setting up here. Although if they don't evolve this Charmander this turn, we're going to kill them next turn with the Ice Wing. So I'm just going to cast blue here, or I'm sorry, use blue here. And that's just going to mean, a reason I'm doing that is just because if they Ember us again, this might be a stupid play actually, because they're not guaranteed to Ember us, but if they Ember us again, they do 20 damage, which means we can just potion that away. So it would be like they only attacked us once with Ember if we ever draw potion. But again, that was probably a stupid play because of the fact that they could just put the energy on Charmander and not attack us at all, or they could switch into Moltres EX and go for the Inferno Dance, but they're going to put it on Charmander. So that's good for me, because, again, if they do attack, it's only going to do 20, and if they retreat into Moltres, that's great, because they wasted their energy, and if they just evolve into Charmeleon, that's probably a worst-case scenario. But another defense of playing the blue is, we have so many supporters in our hand, like, yeah, they do attack us. I still think that's pretty bad. But luckily for my opponent... Excuse me. Luckily for my opponent, we are drawing pretty poorly here. Okay, so we have some options. Now, this Moltres, I think both of their Moltreses are actually weak to electric, not water. So that is painful. We want to see either Potion. At this point, we don't even need Misty anymore. In fact, we don't even want Misty anymore at this point. So I am just going to go ahead and go for that Ice Wing and kill their Charmander, get a prize. Luckily for me, their other Pokemon are far away from attacking us. Like, they don't have any energies on any of their other Pokemon, so 2 hits of Blizzard will knock out any of their Moltreses, so that's good for me. We have Red Card, but the reason I hesitated to use Red Card is because, if you notice, they have not played Charmeleon yet. They have not evolved into Charmeleon yet, so it's pretty likely that they're looking for Charmeleon, and there it is. Presumably they just drew it this turn. So they're really looking for Charmeleon, which means if I red card them, it's possible I draw them into that Charmeleon. So this turn I actually will red card because they have 5 cards in hand. Another little thing about red card is you typically want to use it when the opponent has more than 3 cards in hand, because they're going to draw 3 cards. So if they have like 5 cards and you use red card, they shuffle away those 5 and draw 3. It's almost like you made them discard 2 cards. I don't need to use Giovanni because 2 hits of Blizzard will kill their Moltres anyway. I'm definitely just going to red card here. Like I said, they were waiting, and they never played Charmander, they didn't play Charmeleon until this most recent turn, so it's very possible they had like Charizard in hand, but they were waiting to draw the Charmeleon. Definitely not going to Leaf. I could actually Sabrina. If I Sabrina... I mean, if I Sabrina, they just go into their regular Moltres. I don't think I need to do that. Let's just go ahead and Blizzard here. And then next turn, I think the Blizzard could be more impactful. Well, I actually meant the Sabrina, because I was going to say we could Sabrina them. If they go into that other Moltres, then we could Giovanni and kill them. But, of course, we cannot go Sabrina and Giovanni in the same turn. So let's hope we shuffled away their Charizard. If they just go for Inferno Dance here, oh, this is fine. This is perfectly fine. This is why I like playing the fossils in the deck, because they're not going to kill me this turn. They're not going to use an attack to kill my fossils. So that Sabrina was completely wasted because we just get to discard the fossil. Now, depending on how many hits they get off of this Inferno Dance, this could be scary. We kind of want to see another Moltres and a Misty, because now what could happen is if they have Charizard... They didn't have Charizard that turn, importantly. So now what we can do is just discard the fossil. That lets us go right back into Articuno. I'll just play another Helix fossil just because we can. Once again, they did not play Charizard that turn, so it's possible they do not have it. So I don't want a red card again because I might draw them into it. I really wish we would see that other Articuno. And another card I've been considering in this deck is one Pokeball, just for situations like this where we need that second. We really want to see that second Articuno. And in fact, now that I'm talking about it, I do think I'm going to add that second Pokeball, or that one copy of Pokeball, I mean. I'll just put the energy on Articuno just because we might as well. And I think we just Blizzard. We could Sabrina. If we Sabrina, they go into their other Moltres. That could actually be decent for us. But no, we need to pressure them. I think we just Blizzard here. We need to get the kill. Wait, no, I'm dumb. Oh my god, I'm dumb, everyone. Sorry, I apologize, everyone. I had the win there because they had Moltres EX. So apologies if you were screaming at your screen that I had the W right in front of me. Sorry about that. Yeah, I didn't realize that until right now that I actually had one prize already, and I was about to knock out an EX to get the second. So we still navigated that game well, and again, using red card, like deciding when to use red card is an important skill to have. That's why red card's a tough card to use. It's mostly not very good, and when it can be good, you really have to think about how to use it. Let's do another game. We lose the coin flip, which I like. And luckily for me, I saw the Pikachu sleeves and I was worried we were playing against Pikachu EX, but it looks like we're playing against a Psychic deck, probably Mewtwo, which I am excited to see as a matchup. Luckily for me, we go second, so my opponent cannot Dizzy Punch us just yet. And of course, luckily for me, we did draw that Misty right off the bat. So they go Research. We do have the red card. That is once again something to think about. We'll kind of have to play it by ear, see what they do. They go Pokeball, which is pretty good for them. And they pass. So if we red card, we discard 6 cards, or rather, we effectively discard 3 cards from their hand. Okay, my opponent went Pokeball, but they did not play a second basic. What's up with that? That's weird, because they definitely have a basic Pokemon in their hand. Because of that, I'm just going to red card. If they didn't Pokeball, I would have been more hesitant, because I'm like, what if they have, like, you know, like Kirlia and Gardevoir in hand, and then we red card them into Mewtwo and Ralt or something like that. But because they used Pokeball and didn't do anything with it, I'm just going to go ahead and get rid of that Pokemon they drew. And we get a Heads, which is perfect. We get a second Heads, which is not exactly game over, but I mean, now we're doing 80 damage on turn 1. Let's go ahead and play the Helix just in case, and then get that 80 damage. And their Kangaskhan is guaranteed dead next turn. If they don't play another basic, then we win the game this next turn. And that's where red card is actually pretty clutch in this deck, because once again, I just completely got rid of that Pokemon that they drew, whatever it was. They're going to put the energy on Kangaskhan, which I'm not sure is the best. I mean, they get, well, it's not guaranteed that they get some damage on my Articuno, but they might get some damage here. Okay, they do get some, but I guess they figure, like, we're going to knock out Kangaskhan, and then we're just going to knock out Flabébé next turn, so maybe that's what they were thinking. I could Sabrina. I don't remember how much HP the second stage has. What is it called again? Florges is the last stage, right? I don't remember how much HP the second one has, because I think we're fine. I'm overthinking it. I'm just going to go ahead and Blizzard. It's unlikely that the second stage has 100 HP, so if it has 90 HP, we're good. Because if they evolve it, it's going to have 10 damage on it, so it'll have 80 HP remaining, which means we one-hit KO it with Blizzard. So we're in a really good spot here, and this is what our deck is supposed to do. Just basically Snowball, no pun intended, with Articuno. And it looks like they might be conceding here, which, hey, I kind of don't blame them. I know this is really annoying. But we're almost guaranteed to kill this Pokemon, whether they evolve it or not. And then that gives us 2 points, and then they're just so far behind at that point. I guess something they could do is, like, I don't know, play Mewtwo and put an energy on it, but at that point they're still just so far behind. Because we're going to do 80 damage to them, and then they're going to do, what, like 50 to us? And then we're going to do 80 more, so... They play Farfetch. Oh, you know what? I actually didn't think about this, the fact that they can put us to sleep here. I did not think about that. I should have been reading the card. We do luckily land heads, but that's a big misplay on my part. I should have been paying attention to that card, and if I had seen that they could put us to sleep, I would have Sabrina last turn and forced them into Flabébé to knock it out so they can't put us to sleep. But either way, this works out for us because we get to knock them out, and then they go into Farfetch'd, and it doesn't matter what they do, unfortunately. If they hit us with the Leak Slap, it's only 40 damage, and there's no way that they can... There's zero way they can do 70 damage, or I'm sorry, 110 damage to us in one turn. I guess they could play another Flabébé, put an energy on it, and then use X speed, and then put us to sleep again. But that's not what's happening, so GG. And those were 3 really fast games. And, I mean, that's the nature of this deck. If you're going to play this deck, you have to be prepared for fast games both ways. But I've had a lot of success with this deck. I've definitely won a lot more games than I've lost with it. I should have been keeping track, but you just have games like that where your opponent is trying to set up and you just get to do 80 damage to them on turn like 2 or 3, sometimes on turn 1, which is really broken. I know there's a lot of conversation about whether Misty should be like altered, like changed, like nerfed basically. And, you know, I understand if you play against it and they get a million heads, it's awful. But there are definitely times where they get tails right away. So the nature of the card is simply luck-based. So, I don't know. This is a good deck, though, and I like it. So, yeah, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Let me know in the comments what you thought. If you hated this deck or you hate this deck, feel free to be honest. If there's other decks you'd like to see me play, let me know. I just like to feature decks that are a little bit kind of under the radar. I know this deck is not exactly under the radar, but I don't want to just play like Mewtwo EX or Pikachu EX or, you know, all the decks that everyone knows about. But if you are interested, I will happily play those because I do own those decks and I do think they're really fun, honestly. It's just that people find them boring because they're common, right? Which is fair. So thank you very much for watching. Please leave a like. Please subscribe for more Pokemon TCG Pocket videos, and we will see you next time. Have a great day.